5th, 2021. Roll call, please.
Mayor Litchfield.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Here.
Commissioner Moya. Commissioner Ganella.
Here.
Commissioner Arias.
Here.
Okay, tonight the discussion on the agenda is discussion regarding plans for 5 Mile Park. I believe Mark and Daniel Zamora and I don't know who else is going to be presenting.
I'm gonna leave it up to Daniel.
Okay. Hey, Daniel, you're up.
Hello, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. I appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you guys about this. So what we're here to do is talk to you guys about something we've been working on for a little over 3 years now, which is the revitalization plan for Tucumcari's Metropolitan Park, colloquially named 5 Mile Park because it's 5 miles out of town. And so, you know, this started, I like to think it started, and I think Pat would agree, with the disc golf course. You know, someone saw something in 5 Mile Park, that person being Robert Lumpkin, and you know, he was up in Sippapoo and saw a disc golf tournament going on when he was visiting there, and you know, brought that to this commission, and you guys leveraged some lodgers tax money to help us out, you know, with the disc golf course, and that really kind of got the ball rolling, and then, you know, Pat and EDC, you know, got in touch with the National Park Service Rivers and Streams program, who also saw something in 5 Mile Park, and they kind of helped us, you know, get on the path of creating this plan through that cooperation, that project with them. And so we did a lot to get this plan together. As all of you know, people in Tucumcari have a lot of different opinions. So that was probably the biggest struggle, is that there's a lot of different things that could be done with 5 Mile Park, and everyone has a different opinion, and that's okay. As we see it, you know, no matter what people are out there doing, if they're out there doing something, you know, that makes them healthier, happier, that's productive for the city and for, you know, our workforce and, you know, for our people. So, you know, we held little focus groups, larger meetings, one at the college that's highlighted in the plan. We formed a steering committee. Now we formed a Friends of 5 Mile Park committee where, you know, we're trying to, you know, get a 501c3 designation so we can apply for grants as a nonprofit organization. And so today I just kind of wanted to, you know, I had Mark get you guys the plan beforehand, so I wanted to field any questions you might have about it. But I'll say this about the plan, that it's definitely, you know, a living document, a working document, and the idea of it is that we compiled all the input that we gathered from the community, but this isn't anything set in stone. There's no budget attached to this. It's more of kind of conceptual ideas of what could happen out at 5 Mile Park, and I think it'll take, you know, the support of the city and this commission, and more importantly, I think the you know, the small groups like the disc golf club, or maybe the shooting 4-H, you know, and shooting sports clubs that we have in town, to champion the different activities that they'd like to see out at 5 Mile Park, and find funding opportunities to develop the park. You know, that's kind of what we want to focus on. Is, you know, we'd like to see you guys pass a resolution in support of this plan, and not making any financial commitment or any commitment to some of the more grandiose plans that are in this document, but more just supporting you know, us going out and looking for funding opportunities to do different things at the park. And so tonight we actually have one funding opportunity that's presented itself that we'd like to highlight to you guys. But I think first I'd like Pat to talk a little bit more about the economic development you know, aspect of all of this, and what redeveloping 5 Mile Park could do for our local economy.
So what I would like for you guys to do would be to follow along with me as we kind of go through this plan, because I think there are a couple of points that I want to make sure that you're aware of. First of all, I want to talk about the history of the project, not the history of 5 Mile Park, because you guys know 5 Mile Park probably a lot better than I do. Some of you have been involved with it much longer than I have. But the history of the project, and, you know, Daniel hit the nail on the head. The opportunity really presented itself to us in the summer of 2017. That's when Robert and Shannon Lumpkin were in Seekapoo. They saw a disc golf tournament and they thought, you know, that's kind of cool. We could do that too, Kerry. And Robert's idea was that 5 Mile Park would be a good place to do that. At the same time, the National Park Service River Trails Conservation Program, headed up by Attila Ballady in Albuquerque, who some of you have met, published a request for information on potential projects. And so we submitted a short little brief on what we thought we would like to pursue, and we were accepted into the program. So that began in June of 2017. Now, most recently, and you'll see this on the executive summary on the first page, the Outdoor Recreation Division was actually created within the State Economic Development Department on April the 2nd, 2019. So that fits in with what our initial thoughts were. If you look on the second page, there are a couple of items there that are in bold, and I think they're worth mentioning. The first is that the outdoor recreation economy in New Mexico creates $1.2 billion in income and 33,500 jobs in New Mexico. Further down on that page, the residents of New Mexico spend around $4.8 billion on outdoor recreation in the state each year. So that kind of sets the stage about why this is important and what the value is in terms of what we're trying to do. The history of the park itself is the second item that you find in the plan. And I won't go through that except to say that it goes back to 1938. And that's when the park was originally envisioned and developed. So it's been an ongoing process for a long time. If you will go a few pages farther, you will see the page that talks about regional planning in 5 Mile Park. I think that's important to know that outdoor recreation is an economic development activity that's spelled out in both the Quay County Comprehensive Plan and it's spelled out in the city's comprehensive plan as an opportunity and a goal in terms of attracting tourists and developing services for local residents as well. And it's also part of, it fits well within the Viva New Mexico strategic plan, comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. And that will tie in a little bit, I think Brenda can probably speak to some of the components in this plan that have to do with health and wellness. Because that's one of the things we learned through this process was health and wellness activities across the nation right now are a major priority. And that's an opportunity for us in the community in terms of the development of 5 Mile Park, is the opportunities we have for health and wellness activities out at the park. Going a little farther into the plan, you will see a section called Vision and Goals. Now the vision and the goals for 5 Mile Park were put together through a number of community involvement sessions. In the second page, and I will read the vision statement for you because I think it's important for that to be on the record. Our 5 Mile Park vision. 5 Mile Park is a regional destination on historic Route 66 that offers an opportunity to reconnect with history, celebrate the community, and encourages wellness in a safe, beautiful outdoor setting. It's a place to seek adventure, art, and to test your abilities on one of the many dynamic activities available. 5 Mile Park is the perfect place to bring friends and families together, and new memories are created here. That's the vision for 5 Mile Park. And further down on that page, and I won't read them, but the actual goals attached to that vision are included there as well. Probably the most important part of this plan is the next section, which talks about community participation in 5 Mile Park planning. And as Daniel said, we had numerous community focus groups talking about portions of the park and things they would like to see over the course of about 2 years. And I do have sign-in sheets, by the way, for all those focus groups. I didn't bring them with me tonight, but I can tell you that we had over 150 people from the community who participated in those focus groups to help us in the development of this plan. So it was not something that was created in a vacuum by any means. One of the most significant items that you will see in this chronology of those meetings is the meeting that we had in August of 2018, where we had a design workshop at Mesa Lamps. Some of you remember that. And we want to thank Attila Dowdy and National Park Service for bringing together the New Mexico chapter of the American Society of Landscape Architects, because they were instrumental in terms of helping draft the vision for the various components of 5 Mile Park. And as Daniel said, a little farther down, you will see the opportunities for 5 Mile Park. And that's where you see the economic opportunities for 5 Mile Park. If you'll look to the next page, you'll actually see the graphic that was developed by the Bureau of Economic Analysis, which talks about the impact that the outdoor recreation economy has nationally. Now, what we see as true opportunities for 5 Mile Park are the opportunities to help us attract and provide services for tourists. And the outdoor recreation as an economic development target also gives us opportunities to entice manufacturers of outdoor recreation equipment. And that would be one of our ultimate strategies as well in terms of an economic development opportunity. And then, of course, the issues of quality of life are important, not just for local residents, but also for business owners and prospects that might be looking at the community, because quality of life is a big issue these days with businesses that are looking for new places to operate. And that goes for small and big businesses alike, whether it's the remote worker, which certainly is an opportunity for us, particularly in light of the fact that we now have citywide fiber. That's another inducement for people to consider Tucumcari. But quality of life is a big issue. And as I mentioned before, the other piece that I think is really important is the component related to health and wellness. The only other comment I would make is that if you follow through the document a little bit farther, you will see some of those drawings that were developed in cooperation with those members of the American Society of Landscape Architects. And those are pretty good conceptual drawings of what could happen at 5 Mile Park. And again, those were done in collaboration with citizens from the community at that design workshop and other focus groups beyond that. So I think in a nutshell, those are the major components of the plan. And I don't know, Brenda, do you want to speak to the health and wellness component of the plan?
I
And
can.
maybe even talk about our current project with Viva Connects.
So one of the requirements for our plan, or for the whole process with Attila, was that there would be a health council involvement with, and because there's a whole section, as you see, on health. And so we actually originally had 4 members of the health council out of the nutrition and fitness committee. working on this 5 Mile Park, committees. And I didn't bring mine, but I can look here. That's- And, we started working on some of these issues with, what outdoor recreation can do to improve health. And I don't even know what pages those are on. Looks like if you look, there's no numbers, after the community demographics, they look like this. That's sort of the leading causes of death in the United States and New Mexico. And as you can see, a lot of those things could be affected by people being able to get out and exercise more, could reduce both heart disease, cancer, and some stroke, the diabetes. All those things are affected by lack of exercise, increases in, and exercise reduces that. And so those were some of the things that we highlighted, that we wrote about, that we researched. And of course, obesity is a big issue. But even more importantly, are the mental things that are improved by being outside and getting exercise. So suicide rates would drop, hopefully, if we had places for people to be out and enjoying nature, and our mental capabilities would increase. So we had a whole section on that, and that's back here on this page. That talks about some of those things about mental and social health. And as you all know, this year has sort of been an example of that, with people not being able to get out. And it's, so we have seen probably a few more people out walking around at 5 Mile Park, because it's a place to go away from people and still be outside. So that's a good thing, I guess, that came out of here, that people are actually using 5 Mile Park more for walking and that kind of stuff. So I don't remember what month it was, but towards the beginning of the pandemic, I received an email about possible funding for trail development. And so I talked to Daniel and Pat and Richard, I guess those were Carmen, those were the people that were left on the committee. And we went ahead and applied through the Health Council for some money from, I can't think of the name. Well, Viva Connects is the project, but they have, it's the UNM
Health Science Center.
Health Science Center or something, Research Center. Yeah. And these people have been working with other communities to build trails and do research in how much people are using those trails and the health benefits of those trails. And so their project is called Viva Connects. So we applied for funding and received $3,000 to put in some walking trails out at 5 Mile Park. And so Daniel's been working very hard on getting the route and all that. But we were excited to do that. We have been meeting with them monthly, and they've been giving us information on what's good ground cover, signage options, things like that that we need to put out there. So I'll turn it back over to Daniel to talk to you about the routes.
So yeah, that map I gave you is what I think is a perfect example of what we're trying to do out there. You know, the Health Council was gracious enough to present this funding opportunity to us, and so we said, you know, how can we apply this funding to, you know, the natural resources that we have out of the park? And as you know, there's already a network of roads and trails out there, and so what I did is, you know, just kind of mapped out a 1 mile loop and a half mile loop, and we're thinking we might be able to get another half mile loop on the west side of the park out of it. And we thought we would, you know, post this map on Facebook and solicit the community's input and, you know, you guys' input as well, naming the trails to generate some enthusiasm about the park and get people engaged. But we wanted to come here first and present the plan to you and, you know, receive your blessing to work in coordination with the planning and development department to seek funding, to revitalize the park. And I want to reiterate that what we're trying to do out there is use the natural resources in a way that creates a low maintenance environment for people to get out and you know, do whatever makes them happy. You know, hike the trails, walk their dog, play disc golf, shoot guns. You don't see that a lot, but I mean, you know, there's a lot of different things that you can do out at 5 Mile Park, and so that's our goal. You know, and we'd be happy to, you know, take any questions that you guys might have regarding the plan or this particular project, and you know, hopefully.
I know several people used it during COVID to go walking, and walk their dog and things, and I'm being one of them, because you couldn't just go anywhere. So that was nice to go out there and there wasn't anybody there. You could just walk and enjoy nature, and so.
I've seen
I
a
think
huge increase in use of the park
Yeah.
since the pandemic, especially with all the young people that were out of school for a very long time. That increased quite a bit, them being out there, and just people out there walking the dogs, like I said, running, just getting outside, getting some fresh air. Where before, you know, it was kind of the disc golfers, the shooting sport folks, and then some ATV riders from time to time. But it's really, and you know, I think this is also an opportunity. We're always talking about pulling people off the highway and somehow finding a way to get people to stop. And I mean, just about every weekend that we're out there, you know, the disc golf club meets on Saturdays. Just about every weekend that we're out there, you'll see a car with an out-of-state license plate, and they may just stop to stretch their legs for a second, or maybe play a few holes of disc golf or something like that. And it just blows my mind how often I see an out-of-state license plate out there. So I really think it could be a vehicle to get people to stop off the interstate and then maybe into town, you know, if they decide to stay the night. And I think that's another, you know, as a good, you know, another, you know, we're trying to do the tournaments out there, and that's another way to get heads in beds, at least for a night or two. You know, someone brought up at a meeting the other day that it might be a good idea to have like tough mutter competitions out there where, you know, because it's a great, you know, landscape for that type of thing. Paintball is something that's included in the plan. You know, whatever we could do to have some sort of organized events like that out there that might generate some business for our hotels or our restaurants here, I think is a great thing, in addition to the, you know, the health and wellness of our citizens. So.
Anyone have any questions they want to ask Daniel?
No, I don't. I'm just glad something's gonna be done with that empty land there. What is it, about 160 acres or what? I don't know, we cut so many.
240 acres total.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's quite a lot. Is that including the wells?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Okay, so now it expands further than the map showing you.
Yes, sir, yeah. It actually, the property boundary actually extends further south than the map
Yeah,
here.
because the wells go all the way. The other thing is the billboards, we still, those still under the larger taxes, and correct, they profit. They remember when we had the zoning commercial, so we could actually get the permits.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so that's actually zone commercial for the purpose of billboards.
Yeah, you know, I think,
I'm glad there's somebody doing something with that empty land, because it just sits up there, and the more it sits up there, the more, people go out and destroy or mess up things or make it a dump.
appreciate it. We really like, you know, with the commissions, we really like to move forward with this project, and we plan on purchasing a kiosk where we can put a finished trail map and then little signs along the route that just tell you that you're on the 1 mile or on the half-mile loop. And then we're gonna use the rest of the funding to get crusher fines and just to lay out along the trail to kind of give it more of a trail feel, and connect a few places. And through the community input, the number one thing that came up was the family gathering area, that pool area. People just love that. I listened to your stories before this meeting began, and most of those were, you know, stories of that area. And, you know, we're working with is it the University of New Mexico's architecture department? And they've been doing studies on the old bathhouse and they want to do, they want to help us create a plan that could be used to apply for grant funding to maybe, rebuild that. That's kind of a long-term goal, but it's something we'd like to see. The pool, I mean, the cost of that may be out of reach, but even if we could repurpose the pool into an amphitheater or something that could still be used and really highlight and utilize the flagstone and all the beautiful work that was done there in the 30s and 40s, and turn it into something new and create an area where people can go out and have a wedding or have a graduation party or have a Easter egg hunt, things like that. I think it'd be a great asset to the community.
In the sixties, that used to be a summer camp for, some, needed, emotional children. It started with $3,000 from the Kennedy Foundation that they used to have that you could write in and get, and that's how we got our funding for that part.
Wow.
I used to teach swimming there, which they almost drowned me, but, that was, one of the biggest things we loved about it because we had a place to have our summer camps for children. The special need children, that's what it was for.
I would love to see something like that out there. I heard someone talk about Boy Scouts. I think that would be a great opportunity to teach the fundamentals of camping and backpacking and those types of things. I hate to take any money away from our lodging facilities here by having some sort of camping, but I think there'd be an opportunity there for that type of stuff, or at least for the youth,
Also, Pat, didn't we do something weren't we talking with the night sky?
That's true, that was one of the components.
That was one of the proponents that
In one of
people,
our community focus groups.
Yeah, you are just far enough out of town out there where at night, I mean, the sky just lights up. It's amazing.
and they were talking about doing something like where the pool is, maybe doing an amphitheater type thing with a platform where people could come and bring their telescopes and look at, and they have a whole group that goes around New Mexico and the night sky thing. And that would be a perfect place for them to hold a meeting.
It'd be a good place in that pool to have music and
Right,
it'd be like singing in the shower.
yeah.
We'd have our clothes on. Please.
So the one thing I think how this all ties in together is before COVID hit, I was in really good talks with the Cabinet Secretary of Economic Development, Secretary Keys. And she had it in her agenda to personally make a trip down here. And at that time, it was her newly appointed outdoor recreation department. So I'd like to start those conversations up once we get some kind of unified decision from the commission to adopt that resolution, hopefully on the April 8th meeting. That way we have a plan, and then that's what opens up grant opportunities so we can get the funding to do this, because as we all know, the city budget's strapped pretty tightly, so if we could get those grants to help fund this, it would be amazing. And then again, start partnering with state outdoor rec as well as Secretary Keys and getting as much assistance as we can out here at Foghorn Park.
So I have a question. Is there a curfew out there?
No.
No curfew, okay.
Wow.
There was in 1984.
Somebody asked. I was asking, I wasn't sure. I know there's one at the cemetery, it's a park, so that's why I'm asking.
I think there's still a city curfew for youth though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would be in place.
Well, yeah,
I used to lock the gate out there, and that's how I got caught. I was parked outside the gate.
Well, there's many places to hide out there, isn't there?
Marvin Henning, he stood at the gate, he goes, I know somebody's out there. So he came out.
Well, just
That's
to
one of
echo
those- That's one of those components that we still have to do some work on. I mean, you just take a look at the shooting sports area. We'll have to adopt some rules and regulations for that. And they're not part and parcel of the plan yet, but, in the future they will be.
All I ask is that you work with the gun and the disc and everybody together, because actually we don't want to have over there one group fighting the other group, so
Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
please, respect each other's turf.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, and the great part about that is that there's a natural barrier between the shooting side and the rest of the park, being the arroyo there that kind of splits that far east side of the park. And so as long as, I think that would be a great start, to some sort of ordinance just saying there's no shooting allowed on the west side of that arroyo. Just to ensure that nobody, there's no cross.
I think it'd be nice to see from that little mesa, a zip line.
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
around.
yeah. That's actually state land, and it's leased by the landowner, but that's an interesting prospect.
I thought about that, with the insurance, I don't know what it'd be,
Yeah,
but that'd be kind of neat,
Yeah.
Have four-wheeler ride you up there and then you zip line down.
I think if we could get a resolution, in support of this plan, this document is really gonna open up a lot of doors for us in the way of funding. Because this shows that we're not just out there, asking for a handout. We've put some thought into this. Like I said, for over 3 years, we've been working on this. The community, I think we have community support, and so we hope we have your support as well. And we'd like to leverage this and to bring some funding for outdoor recreation into Tucumcari.
Who's in charge, who's the one in charge of the shooting range up there?
Nobody.
City council? Well, as long as we get everybody to cooperate and work together, all the way from the billboards, all the way to the shooting range, to the disc golf, to everything, I don't see a problem in our part, I'm okay with doing a resolution as long as we do it with the intention that everything's okay.
Yes, sir. Yep. We'd love to work closely with, planning and development and any other department that you think would be appropriate. Being the Friends of 5 Mile Park organization we've created, to make sure that we're working hand in hand to make sure everyone's safe out there and create as many health and wellness and economic opportunities.
Now, the Apache Lions, did they give up their lease? Because they used to have a 99-year lease or something that I can remember. We gave them back in 1990, in the 80s, 1990s and 94.
Good.
It's my understanding that organization folded.
Oh, but is there still a contract there or what? Because we still have to clear that.
I don't know about
We
the
don't want to create
contract.
problems. But I know that we gave them, back in the 80s and 90s, I think, or 80s, a lease, I think it was 99 years, because we had a battle because of the fact of the billboards that we were putting there at that time, and we had to go in and revamp that whole agreement. As long as that,
Yeah, we'll look into that.
if they're dissolved, it's okay, but we still need to clear.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I'm guessing that so between the three organizations, EDC, Health Council, and the disc golf,
Yes, sir.
you guys are having monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, something of the sort?
Yeah, we try to meet at least monthly. We were meeting a lot more before the pandemic, and when the pandemic hit, things slowed down, so we're doing everything virtually, but we meet at least monthly.
But we really need some city representation too, because it is your property.
Yeah, that's why I was just fixing to ask if Mark was involved in those meetings as well.
Community development's been attending.
Yeah. Alex, over at Community Development has joined our group recently, and she's been, trying to work with us and stay in tune with what's going on out there. But we felt if we came and talked to you guys about it, then they'd feel more comfortable partnering with us as well.
When do you plan another cleanup day?
So, we're thinking pretty quick. That's actually something we were working with Alex over at Planning and Development on, is that she got the green light to do those types of things again, and so she'd like to get something going.
Okay.
And then we have a disc golf tournament on the books for October. So we usually go out there and mow and do as much as we can before the event. So that'd be another opportunity, I think, to get things cleaned up out there. It's doing pretty good. I'd say, there's maybe a little bit of trash, but the dumping has really, slowed down with an increase of use out there. I've seen a lot less negative activities going on out there than 3 years ago.
I'm glad you brought that up, because, we had the Rotary Club really involved in that first major cleanup. And the incoming president of the Rotary Club is sitting in this room right now, Steve Hansen.
Oh, okay.
So I'd be willing to bet we could get the Rotary Club involved in that again, too.
That'd be great.
So,
We actually, as part of our grant contract, have to have some kind of event in June out there to like kick off or do a ribbon cutting on the trails or whatever we decide to do. So we'll have to have some kind of cleanup prior to that,
That might
at
be a
least
good,
in that area, not the whole park.
might be a good opportunity to unveil the Robert Lumpkin Memorial Disc Golf Course sign that we were able to put up there as well.
Mhm.
So maybe this
Do both of
late
them.
spring or summer, we can do something like that.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you guys. And if you ever have any questions or anything, you know, Brenda's right across the street. Feel free to reach out to me or Pat. We'd love to talk more about it.
Well, I still gotta go learn how to play. I've been asking you that for about 2 years now.
Yeah. Come on out, Saturday mornings. We're out
I'm
there.
not across the street anymore.
Oh, you're not. I'm sorry. You're retired now.
You will always be across the
She's
street.
retired.
Yeah.
Quote, unquote,
You see
she
your car
retired.
out there.
I live there too.
Well, thank you, Daniel, we appreciate this.
Congratulations on your job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to working with the city in that regard as
Thank
well.
you, appreciate it.
Can we start now?
All right, so if there's nothing else, anybody have any other questions or anything on the 5 Mile Park plan? Okay,
We're good.
all right, then we'll adjourn till the meeting at 6. Okay,
The recorder's on.
I turn your mics off.
Yeah, we're not